Good morning. Welcome to Village in Motion. Today is Monday, January 8th, 2018. My name is Susan Gerhard, and I'm here with our Executive Director, Chandra Kumar. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
It's a little warmer today.
It is very nice to have that warm weather.
Yes, right. And this is our call-in show. Before we do anything else, let's give our telephone number here this morning so that residents may call in with questions. It is 703-663-3333. And if you have questions for Chandra, please don't hesitate to call. We welcome your questions. Chandra, tell us what information you have for us this morning.
So we've got, first of all, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year
to all of the viewers today. As I said, it's nice to be able to have, it's interesting how we can consider this temperature to be warm.
That's right.
But after the bitter cold for the past week or more, it has been, this is almost a little bit of a break in that, since
Yes.
I'm excited about that. Lots of new things happening, the new year. We will be having a town hall meeting for which we call Coffee with the Exec on the 19th. So it's a change in date, and we'll be going over the resident satisfaction. So this time we wanted to make sure that it was on the flyer, because last year some of the residents felt like we hadn't shared it.
So this is on 19 January, Coffee with the Executive Team. And
Yes.
we'll be going over the survey results.
Survey results, and then, with time permitting, we'll have a few more updates. But we also wanted, we wanted to make sure that we start off the new year sharing information.
And this will be in the Hunters Crossing
Yes, absolutely.
Conference Center as usual, on the 19th of January.
Yes.
We'll look forward to it.
Yes. And then, just with the new year, all the new projects going on, we've got the elevators, continue with the, windows and the doors, and including the construction of what's going on in Garden Ridge. And then we are also going to be able to get a little more information by the end of this month on Town Center, so we can start to share that also at some point in February. So just a lot of different pieces.
So a lot of projects are in the works. We're just not seeing anything yet, because there's a lot of planning and a lot of permits that has to go on before we can actually see hammers hammering and
Right, and
work
it's interesting
happening.
because I think people always say, well, what are the projects? But I think people tend to forget that we still have close to 2 million square feet under roof that has things going on all day long.
Right.
For example, this weekend we did have, a leak situation. And I'm sure that's the big buzz in the hallways today in the conversation. So, the team is working on remediation of that. Trying to make sure we are able to take care of our residents. Some have been displaced, but making sure that we're managing all different aspects of that. So, in addition to all of the projects which are also necessary, there's the day-to-day maintenance. From how many times we have to go fix something or change something, or everything looks good, but there's always things that need to get done.
And not only fixing that leak, but there is work in progress for that leak situation to prevent it in the future, but we hadn't gotten there yet.
Well, that is a different component of it. There is what we're talking about on the balconies is a different piece of it, and they're working through that also. So we've started that. But again, everything has time, and it takes time. And when you end up with really end up with like 0-degree temperature, wind chill, unfortunately, this happens. But I know that we've done a lot here in the time before I came to remediate that with installation projects and things. But you feel like you got it all and everything's going to be fine, and Mother Nature is stronger than we are.
Yeah.
But
anytime you get down around zero, when you have anything in an upper area, it's difficult.
It is difficult. So, the team's been frantically working with that all day yesterday, and are still doing that today. But otherwise, really excited. You'll start to see some of the purchases that we've made for the new year coming in. We're looking at new buses, which was a request.
Good.
From the council. But just making sure that we follow up and get those things done.
So we're shopping
signage,
for buses.
Yeah, there's signage that the residents have requested. All of those opportunities that we're always working on all of those pieces too. and making sure that we do that. But along with that, just letting everyone know there's still a lot of things that are going on. So sometimes people, well, I don't see anything. Well, that's the purpose. We don't want you to have to see everything that happens. That's our job.
Well, one thing that we are seeing is work on the bridge between Hampton Place and Town Center.
Yes.
And that's been interesting, the way that has, if those of you who haven't been across that bridge, to see how they've kept it open, but they've worked on it 1/4 at a time, and I think now they're on the last part of it.
Right.
And the new sections feel a lot more sturdy than the old one. It wasn't that the bridge was going to fall through, it's just that I think the subfloor wasn't as solid as it could have been.
Right, so and I have gotten really good compliments on the color of the carpeting and the process. So it has created a little bit of a colder feel when you go past that area. But this is part of that remediation, is to make sure that
it's been interesting. It's wonderful that we've been able to have it open still.
Yes.
We've been able to move through.
That's a major thoroughfare there,
Sure.
so not having that would have been a challenge. But it was great that the Lynn's team was able to figure out how we could get it done.
Yeah, it worked well.
And try to make sure it's the least disruptive as possible.
The only thing that would have helped would have been if we'd had little windows so we could look through those walls and see what they were doing. We are just we're curious.
I'm sure residents popped their head through the plastic.
We did. I was joking.
I think I did myself also, because I just wanted to see.
It's very interesting, the work that they did.
That is a way we could look at how do we create opportunities for curiosity.
So we can see what's going on.
See what's going on.
It's a good change there.
It is.
Let me talk about what we have here on the table. And I come to you with this as in my job as head of the Dining Services Committee. Residents, if you haven't read anyplace else, this week is Amnesty Week in all of our dining venues. And I put these pieces out here just as examples of things that somehow or other have found their ways out of the dining rooms and into people's apartments. Now, I don't know if they've walked out on their own or if they've had a little assistance, but if you find in your apartment that if you have any items like these or other items that really belong in our dining rooms, this is your week to return them. You can take them to the Jefferson or the Woodland Skies or the Fireside or the Cafe or the Bistro and turn them in. There will be tables, some kind of a collection point set up. There's no problem returning them. No one is going to slap your hand, but we need to have these things back. All of these items are quite expensive. And one example that I don't have here is a salt or pepper shaker. Those things cost over $3 each. Quite expensive. A simple knife, just a knife that we eat with. These are having to be ordered often, $1.50 a piece. The napkins, I'm sure we rent these napkins, but they're expensive. When we run out, then we have to pay for more. These little plates here, these small plates, Chandra tells me these are quite popular.
They are quite popular.
And that they're walking off on a regular basis. So these plastic glasses are new glasses in the cafe, and they've had to be ordered multiple times just since we started using in the cafe, because they're walking off. So even the trays in the cafe walk off on a regular basis. So this is your time this week. Take them back. Please turn them in. Help us save money. It's our money that's having to be spent to order more of each of these items. So please return them this week. Help us save money for ourselves by turning these items in again, and help them get back to their brothers and sisters in the dining rooms, if you would, please. Chandra, I have noticed going in and out of the community, there's a sign that says public hearing.
That's correct.
What's that about?
That is for the cell tower. That's what basically it talks about on the notice out there.
Okay.
These are pieces actually that I personally am not managing. That is part of the permitting conversations that go on.
So we've heard about this before. There's part of our land they're going to put I don't know who they is, but someone is going to be almost like renting our land and putting up a cell phone tower.
It's a small piece of land, in an area that we don't currently utilize. So I think this conversation's been going on probably over 5 or 6 years, maybe even
This is not the first
before
we've
that.
heard of it.
Right, so this is finally getting installed. So there periodically those notices show up, but what you'll see more of is notices for soon coming will be the different constructions and things so they do this so your neighbors know what's happening. They have an opportunity to speak up and say, yes, this makes sense, or this bothers me.
Will this impact us in any way?
It should not. It should offer other carriers to be able to put their services on this tower, and it should increase our use in the community with your cell phone, because there are areas that it's difficult to get cell phone reception.
So if my carrier puts an antenna on that tower, I may get better cell phone use
Yes.
on my cell phone.
Yes.
So it could be a good thing.
And that was the thought process behind it. I mean, it's not, it's not a huge revenue generator for communities like ours or anyone else.
But we will
again,
get some revenue
yes.
from it? Well, that's a good thing.
Yes.
So we're using land that we wouldn't use for anything else.
Yes.
We will make some money from it. So it's a good thing.
And the win-win is that it'll create opportunities for better cell service based on the different providers. And,
Terrific.
and it's an area you really can't use. It's right behind the garage in this sort of catty-cornered space that just ends up collecting items that don't have a space. So
Good.
it really isn't something that's using resident space or parking space or anything, which is a high demand. So
Thank you for explaining
Yes.
this. I could never slow down enough to read the sign. I would have had to get out of the car to read it.
No, I
And it
know
was too cold.
when you always want to stop because those signs could change. So you have to stop and
Right.
pull over to the side and read that sign.
Thank you for the explanation. Just a reminder, this is a call-in show, and the number is in the bottom of our screen, 703-663-3333. So we have a little problem that we have a health problem
Yes,
going on
we
just
do.
now. Tell us about that.
So we have had several cases of a GI issue. Some have tested positive for the norovirus in our continuing care. On 3 of the units. So following standard protocol that we use, for Green Spring and what is mandated by the state. Has its own infection control issue, kind of standards that we all abide by. So we have closed visitation to a couple of the units. Signage has been posted, but we also limited visitation only to people if they, they have to meet with someone. We want to make sure we don't carry those germs back and forth.
So if you were planning to go to Garden Ridge to visit someone today, don't.
So
if you'd like to visit with your friend at Garden Ridge, give them a telephone call.
Absolutely.
Because they'd like to visit with you.
Yes.
But do it by phone.
Yes. That's a very good suggestion. If you are tech savvy, then you can also use your FaceTime or Skype.
That's right.
But what's happened is that we've done a good job of containing it, knock on wood so far. And we've had 2 new cases over the weekend, which is not great to have, but at least
only 2.
Yes, exactly.
Now, are there any cases in independent living, or are all of them in Garden Ridge?
We've had a couple in independent living too, so we have asked residents to self-report because it's independent living, and sometimes the resident will be in their apartment, and to call the front desk, let our medical center know specifically. That way we can track. Plus, if there's any kind of assistance, and what we found is most people are like, we're going to stay in our apartments. We have had, a couple situations where, someone's needed a little more assistance than that.
So if you're in independent living and you find yourself struck with what you believe to be a gastrointestinal problem.
Or flu-like symptoms.
Or flu, the advice is stay in your apartment and call the front desk or call the medical center.
Well, what happens in independent living is residents usually take care of themselves, but we call the front desk just to let the front desk know and let the medical center know, because if that's your primary physician, you want to inform your physician.
Okay.
So
you're calling for your own safety, but you're also calling to let the community know.
Exactly, because why we want the community to know, and we don't share the information of who it is. because of HIPAA reasons.
Sure.
But for us,
HIPAA being Privacy Act.
HIPAA being Privacy Act, absolutely, is for us to be able to track to make sure there's no trending. For example, if we found all 3 people were in the same community building, then we need to find out what's going on. Is it something in the dining venue? Is it something else? Is it a similar illness? So that is the thought process behind asking to self-report.
And we can be careful ourselves. This is not a good time to maybe not give someone a hug. If you meet someone in the hallway, this is not a good time necessarily to shake hands.
Yes.
When you walk into your apartment, the first thing you should do is wash your hands.
Thoroughly with soap and water.
Wash your hands frequently.
Not just the tips.
Yeah, not just the tips.
And in the bathrooms. Make sure that you're washing your hands in the bathrooms.
Wash your hands
with
thoroughly.
Soap and water.
Yes. And I've noticed, we usually eat in a cafe, and I've noticed in the cafe, they've taken a lot of the things off the tables,
Yes.
the salt and pepper and the sugar.
The condiments and
Condiments,
the sugar
yes,
packet,
thank you. Taken those off the table, and everything is being served to us.
Yes.
So taking away all of the possible ways that they can come up with that we could share germs with others.
So those are high touch items. So this Saturday when I came in, someone asked me in the bistro, well, did they take the salt and pepper shaker? I want my salt and pepper shaker. So the employee brought it over and took it back, wiped it down. I know that it's a bit of a nuisance, but we just want to make sure we're not passing those germs on because of those high touch areas. We are finding in the Northern Virginia, just around the Washington, D.C. area, there's a high prevalence of both the current GI issues, but the flu also. Some of the communities within even our company have in independent living, one of the communities has over 100 people that have been affected by flu, not the GI.
We don't want that.
Exactly. So I know that, as I said, it's a bit of a nuisance, and people may want to know why I don't have it there, but this is the easiest way to transport. So the housekeeping team, you will see them wiping handrails, wiping down high-touch areas. But the most effective way is to hand wash, to wash your hands yourself. Warm water, nice, good friction, pat it dry, lots of soap. And then just use a napkin to open the door or switch it out if you're in a public area. In your home, you don't, of course, have to do that. But also making sure you're staying well hydrated, that you are taking care of yourself when you go out with this weather. If you're coughing, please, use the back of your sleeve if you don't have a tissue. Those are just kind of common sense things that sometimes we tend to forget. But the hands are the easiest things to manage, but the easiest things to get the germs
And be aware
on.
of where you're touching your hands.
Exactly.
Right. Good advice.
And if you have equipment like a rollator or an EMV,
Wipe that off also.
wipe those handles off.
Right.
Cell phones, I always wipe my cell phone off because you have it in your hand all the time and those germs are there, so wipe those things off.
That's good advice.
Yeah. So it's just we got a little bit of this going on for a while, and we just want to make sure. I know a couple of years ago we did have that situation in independent living, pretty widespread, so we don't want that to happen again.
Right. So we advise everyone to be aware and stay safe and stay healthy.
Stay vigilant.
That's right. Vigilant is a good word for it. What else do I have here on my list? One thing that I've noticed recently, just the last few days, and I'd run into a couple of people in the halls that were kind of lost, just a little confused about where they were. And in both cases, I noticed that they weren't wearing their name tags. And I've noticed that more and more recently, that people are not wearing their name tags. And if you say something to someone, they get just a little bit, I'll use the word belligerent. That, well, I don't need my name tag. I know where I am, and they know who I am. And I'd just like for maybe to hear from you the importance of wearing our name tags all the time.
So the name tags have a nicety of it. Let's start with that first, that your neighbors, the employees know who you are. We wear a name tag. Of course, I don't on this TV show because of the the reflection and all, but the name tag is there so it's easy to identify who you are, but also helps the staff. It helps me all the time because I know who I'm talking to.
Me too. I never remember people's names.
The 2,000 residents in the community,
Yes.
I know faces, but I always am independent on it. But that's the nicety. But the other piece of it is there are emergencies, and I've had an emergency where I have been witness to, and the person did not have their name tag. They had it in their purse. Now, if you're having that type of an emergency, staff knows who you are. They know the kind of information they need to pull. They know it's a quick response.
That's right.
It is also your way of when you go to, of course, meals, it's got your number on it. So everybody knows this is the correct number. So you don't get billed for an incorrect meal or, whichever that could happen. But and also we are looking at, it already at doors, we use it to get in and out of doors. So if you get locked outside on those external doors, you should be able to come in with that key. But we are also looking at having more of those access points done with your badge.
Rather than using a key. For those residents who have that kind of a badge. Not everyone has that kind of a card yet.
Right. So we can switch those out if that's necessary. But what that does do is, it creates a win-win situation.
But I think the most important piece is just to help someone who is a little confused get back home.
Right.
And in many cases, two kinds of cases. One is a health emergency, and the other is an emergency where a person just doesn't know where he or she lives. And this is the case that I ran into.
Okay.
And this was two people who were just lost, didn't know where they lived, and the one person wasn't even sure what her name was. So here we had a person that, we had to work a little bit to try to figure this out. And if she'd been wearing her name tag, it would have been much more easy.
So in that situation, we'd absolutely appreciate if you bring the person to the front desk.
And eventually that's how it worked out. But a lot of people just are thinking, oh, well, it's certainly not very beautiful in the way of jewelry. And of course it's not. We'd all like, maybe it's not a very beautiful piece of jewelry, but it's just so easy to get used to wearing it. And it's for your own safety, it's for your own security, and it's for everyone's good.
It's everybody's good. And it identifies who you are.
Right.
We have a lot of new employees that come and people that work different shifts, and it really has a strong purpose.
There really should be no one on our campus other than visitors not wearing a name tag.
Absolutely.
If it's an employee, if it's a private contractor, everyone should have a name tag of some kind.
Absolutely, I agree.
Right.
So, just as a neighborly, gesture, please make sure you wear your name tags.
Right. Yes. We have just a minute left. Anything else you would like to add?
No, I'm just looking forward to this new year, and the team has for me is a really great place because we have most of the executive team together, and having that. Camaraderie. We have a wonderful team. I mean, I just think about just yesterday, from the general services team, housekeeping, social work, resident life, everybody getting involved. That's what the team really does.
Everybody pulled together.
They pulled together, and it's a difficult situation. It's interesting because I got an email from Jason Healy, who is our new assistant dining director, and yesterday was his first manager on duty day.
Oh, wow.
And so you can imagine, with so much going on, that was an interesting first day for him. But the one thing he said was, he said, I see the way that the team works together in an adverse situation. And you may have a resident who's not happy, who's angry, who's yelling, and this team is still smiling and doing what they need to. And getting things done with care and compassion. Good. So to me, that's what the new year is.
That was a good day for him to be here and see that.
It really was.
That's
it really
terrific.
Was to see that he's part of the team, but how the team works. Really, I look forward to this year and continuing to work with them because
That's
they are
exciting.
great. And the residents have been really very, very supportive also. So, we have new people in new positions such as you. In dining.
Well, we're looking forward to it.
Yes, but before I come off the call, I just want to we have I wanted to acknowledge Kay McCurdy, who's been with the Villager, we're getting all the articles done, managing all of those pieces. And she's done such a tremendous job.
They've done a wonderful job for 5 years, I believe. They were editors.
And so she's she's just had such a huge impact on the community, and so just wanted to say thank you to her.
She did a wonderful job for us. Yes,
she really
right.
has. That is a full-time job
Yes.
plus.
Yes.
And so I'm just really grateful for her partnership.
That's good.
So just want to say that in the last few minutes.
That's good. I'm glad you did.
Thank you.
They did a terrific job.